I want you guys to do this exercise. This is my homework for you. Pick your favorite legacy media website, whether it's CNN or MSNBC or Yahoo News or whatever you want. Okay, just pick one. And go to the page where they have the live updates for the Israeli and Iranian conflict. And see if they actually discuss what sparked it. Because I went to 5 different ones and all of a sudden it seems that Iran gives firm warning to Israel. And it's like, well, what caused it? Why is Iran snapping all of a sudden? They don't mention it. Like, all of a sudden, for no reason whatsoever, Iran decided to do the mad thing. You know, it's kind of like that. They don't talk about an embassy or something. No, that is not mentioned. That just does not exist. You can find out about it on social media, and I'm pretty sure there may be like some other news that talks about it, but it's definitely not on the page where they're talking about the wider conflict. I found that to be very interesting. Now let's discuss about the conflict itself, because my God, everyone on Twitter is like World War III, World War III. I wonder if Dimple, if Mini Bini is going to have the title. He's going to have the title, isn't he? I haven't looked on his channel, but the title is going to be there. Okay. When it comes to the Middle East, you gotta understand that they do business a little bit differently than Western nations, especially when it comes to international politics. Like, first of all, you need to understand how the nations are structured. You have the people at the top, the inner circle of oligarchs, and then you have everyone else. And the people at the top, they want to live normal lives. They want to drive their expensive cars. They want to live in their expensive mansions. They just, want to enjoy the luxuries of life. But unfortunately, in order to do that, they have to oppress everyone else because it's a dictatorship. And the rest of the people who are being oppressed, they're usually oppressed with various things, like religion. It's not the type of religion that we have in the West. Like over there in the Middle East, religion is incredibly important. And that is usually used to justify the oppression. But they're oppressed economically as well. Some of their freedoms are removed and restricted. So they are kept in a level of ignorance that is far deeper than what's happening here in the West or in China. And a lot of the things that happen there are very masculine in nature. Like their societies are also very patriarchal. So what they want the most is to see strength, right? Like even though they are being oppressed by the oligarchy, they want the oligarchy to display strength. Like that is the thing that they admire. Even if that strength is used against them, it doesn't matter. They want to see that their leaders are powerful. So when you have an international conflict, when you have something like it happened with Israel and the embassy, if you're the leader who just wants to drive your expensive cars and have a good life, you need to show the display of strength, because otherwise you get uprisings. And it's not the type of uprisings that you get, the truckers in Canada, or, look, some people are protesting in the streets. No, you can get, like, generals that are switching sides. You can get the military doing an uprising, or you can get even assassinated. So that is the situation in the Middle East. That's how you need to understand the politics in those regions. They're different than what we have here in the West. It's not like, the Russian-Germany pipeline just blew up. Who did it? Maybe we shouldn't look into it. It is what it is, right? Like, they do not do politics in the same way. So, when something like this happens, what the leaders want, again, like, the leaders do not want the conflict. They do not want war, because if they actually get war, then they don't get to drive around their expensive cars. They don't get to live their luxurious lives. So, but at the same time, they need to show the strength. So what they do is like this display. We fired 100 rockets. But they usually like phone the people that they're firing the rockets at. And they're telling them, yeah, by the way, clear those military bases. Make sure that the airfield is empty by the time we fire it. Trump actually talked about that. He was at a rally and he was talking about when the United States assassinated Soleimani, which was one of Iran's top leaders. And Iran had to retaliate in order to show the display of strength. So they called Trump and they said, yeah, well, we're going to hit this base, make absolutely sure that everyone is evacuated from it. And when the attack happened, everyone around Trump was scared. Like, everyone was panicking. But Trump wasn't, because, like, he got the phone call and he knew that the attack is going to be localized to that particular base, which was already empty. And this is how the politics are being done. And by the way, America does it as well in the Middle East. Also, during the Trump presidency, there was this the Bashar al-Assad has crossed the red line, and all of a sudden you have Britain and France and the United States, and they're all moving their navies into the area, and they're launching all those cruise missiles at an airfield. And it was the same thing, right? Like a very localized attack, and it's like, okay, mission complete, we're going back home. A lot of these things are for show. Like, a lot of these things are for the public. Like, the politicians know what's happening. Like, imagine you're playing a game of Civilization, and, you know, the politicians, like, are aware of what's being done, but the public, for them, it's on television. Oh my god, Iran is attacking. Look at it, 100, oh my god, goodness gracious. And then when you look at the casualties and you look at the damage done, you see that it's very localized. Most of the time, there are no casualties. And that's pretty much how the conversation, how the international discussion is happening in the Middle East. Still, this time around, it's a little bit more interesting. Everyone is calling for restraint, right? Egypt called for restraint. Neighboring nations are calling for restraint. So diplomatically speaking, the leadership genuinely doesn't want more of the conflict. Like, the leadership just wants things to go back to normal. You can notice that before the Palestinian thing, like, most nations were signing peace agreements and peace treaties because they just want to trade with each other. Again, the leadership does not want the conflict. Like, they just want to drive their expensive cars. But due to the position that Benjamin Netanyahu is in, and due to the way that public opinion is going in Israel, he's also got to show the display of strength. And the problem is that all of this can escalate, right? So, now Iran attacked Israel. Okay, well, now Israel has to hit back. And he had a very strong speech saying there's going to be an earthquake in Iran like never before. And it depends what they're going to do, because then Iran can also be like, oh shit, now we're pressured to respond. So this show of force may actually escalate into something worse. So the question is, like, why is it worse? Well, Iran is backed by Russia and China. So you can see why this particular nation and this particular conflict can extend beyond the borders of the Middle East. And it can make life hard for everyone around. It already does. Like, for instance, I assume that Iran is actually, that the leadership of Iran is happy with this because people aren't talking about the Houthis anymore. The Houthis, apparently, may have just got out of the control of Iran. So they're attacking the world trade economy. They're going on Hassan Piker's live streams. I don't know if Iran gave them permission to do that. But all jokes aside, it's like 25% of the world commerce. There is something about the American empire. They allow you to get away with many things. They're very compassionate and empathetic until you start fucking with those boats. I don't know what is it particularly about those boats, but all kindness and understanding just stops the moment someone messes with those boats. If they had the same energy to defend the border would be defended. But again, it makes sense. Like, you're not really an empire if you can't defend your supply lines and your trade routes. And that's pretty much what's happening. The Houthis right now are messing with those trade routes, and it doesn't just upset the Americans, it upsets the entire Western nations. And they really don't appreciate, because they're blaming also Iran for this. And while Iran does like to antagonize the West in order to show the display of strength, this is a little bit too much antagonism. This is going a little bit overboard. Now, there's also the thing that the United States has constantly paid Iran money. Trump is the one that stopped, much to the horror and the dismay of the Democrats. The whole idea is like, let us pay you money so you don't build nuclear weapons. Okay, but if you paid the money, was to stop them from building conventional weapons. The thing with the nukes is that if you have a nuclear weapon, your country doesn't get invaded. That's literally the only thing. You don't want to use the nuke, because if you do use the nuke, then you get one back. Or you get 10 back. So most countries, again, the leadership at least, they want to drive their expensive cars. They do not want to drive in a nuclear wasteland. They saw the Fallout TV show, they're horrified by what the creators have done. They don't want that. So having a nuke usually means that your country doesn't get invaded, simple as. If Ukraine had nukes, Russia wouldn't have invaded. So the Americans don't want Iran to have a nuke, so they're paying the money. Now they know that Iran is hostile to the West, so what do you think they're going to do with the money? They're going to make their weapons. Conventional weapons. Assuming that they also don't just make the nuclear project anyway and just take the money, because that's also a possibility. So a lot of the missiles and the drones that are used, many people in the US are saying, well, that's our taxpayer money. And chances are it probably is. But anyway, I guess the Iron Dome, the ones that are fighting the missile, also American taxpayer money. Like no matter how you look at the conflict in the Middle East, it's American taxpayer money going from one place to another. Let me know what you guys think, though. And don't forget, I will be making This Week in Stupid on the live stream channel. There's a link into the pinned comment, and it will take you guys there. It's probably going to be in 6 or 7 hours after I upload this video. So hopefully, I'll see you guys on the live stream, and take care.